What is up, boys and girls? I hope you are all doing quite well on this beautiful-ish day. Sky is kind of gray, but I mean, it's nice enough to be outside, so beautiful day. I am out here in the hills just above Iwakuni, and I really want to capture more of the natural beauty around here. Maybe not all the chopped bamboo, but I'm headed up the mountain, so we'll, there's something out there. I'm sure I'm gonna want to capture some wide vistas. What I've got on here right now is my 12-60 Leica that you have maybe seen before. Did a review on that up there. But if I want to go a little bit wider than that, I do have a fallback. I have a lens that I used to use for my Nikon D5600 before the G9 here became my A cam, and it's really far away. Give me a sec. Oh my god. Ah, boom. This is the Tokina ATX Pro 11-16, and it is a beautiful thing. We're going to talk about it. So the official name here is Tokina ATX Pro SD 11-16 f2.8 IF DX2. It's a DX lens, so it is not a full frame lens, it is a crop lens. And it has 11-16 millimeters on it, f2.8 throughout, and the maximum aperture that you can get on it is an f22. Since I'm riding it on the Micro Four Thirds G9 here and not the F-mount Nikon D5600, of course I needed an adapter. And instead of just going with a straight glassless adapter, I did grab a speed booster. Also very far away. Why is everything so far away from me? So this is the Viltrox F2M43 adapter. I bought it actually specifically for this lens, and then I have a bunch of like legacy glass that I use on it just because I kind of like the Nikon's like mid 80s, kind of late 70s, early 80s kind of lenses. So the really nice thing about this lens on this speed booster is that not only are you not technically riding at f2.8, you're riding at f2, I want to say. You're also running at 0.71 of the focal length, which brings me down 11, 22. So at the 11 millimeter setting with the Viltrox speed booster at 0.71, that's bringing this down to an 8 millimeter or a 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter equivalent. That's insanely wide. I'm going to show it to you guys in a second, and I'll show you the massive zoom range of 11 millimeter to 16 millimeter. But all that to say, we're doing this without any fisheye effect. There's no weird warping or major barrel distortion, which is what I was really worried about going this wide. Another awesome thing about this lens is that it was initially built with this awesome clutch system in the front here. So you can go from autofocus if you are running on an F-mount camera to manual focus just by sliding that little clutch right there. Slide, slide, slide. Very easily. And the nice thing is that this ring here is smooth, and it's about a 45-degree throw all the way from 0.3 meters or 1 foot all the way up to infinity, of course. We do pass the line on infinity just a bit. Where is it? There it is. We do pass the line on infinity just a bit. It doesn't line up perfectly. A lot of lenses are like that. I think most of my lenses are like that, except for my very, very expensive, nice ones. But that's fine. I like shooting on kind of older, cheaper, used to be garbage stuff anyway. For a lot of B-roll and stuff like that. I think it makes it look unique, and if I'm taking pictures, it definitely gives it a unique edge over just tack sharp everything all the time. Of course, if I want that, I have the Leica. But yeah, that clutch drive is really nice. If I do throw this back on the D5600, it's very easy to just pop it forward, make it go manual. It is kind of a slow, loud motor in this thing for autofocus, but I'm not using it with autofocus most of the time anyway, so I really, really don't care. The rear on this thing as well is nice. I'll say nice-ish. It's not the greatest. It's kind of plasticky rubber. It's a little bit slick, and there's about just 11 right there. 16 right there, so about 30 degrees of rotation for the full zoom range there. I say zoom range when really it's just, you know, it's not a whole bunch. I use it more often than I thought because typically I like hanging around between 13 and 14 millimeters. 11 just feels a little too wide sometimes, and 16 too close, obviously. So this was my very first lens that I actually spent a little bit of money on. I was spending, you know, $60, $80, $100 on lenses prior to this. I think I paid $360, something like that for this. And honestly, I've used it so much. It has been incredibly worth it for me. If you're doing vlogging, this was originally my vlogging lens on my D5600. It weighs a ton, as does the D5600, so the whole setup was huge, massive, and I loved every second of it because I could just set this thing on the dashboard and get both of us in the car. No problem at all taking those extremely wide shots, and it focuses really close, so I can, you know, I can get just right down on the ground, and if I dial it all the way down to 2.8 and you know, maybe even throw an ND filter or something like that, I can get a super shallow depth of field, and it's awesome for all lighting conditions because of that nice wide open aperture. Even in this kind of overcast, it looks very nice. So I'm gonna pop the Leica off here. I'm gonna throw this guy on, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Be right back.
And now, before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn, a complete assortment of delicious candy, and a full line of cigarettes. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now.
All right, balance, stay, good, yes, wonderful. Focus on me. Let's crank this guy down. Woo! Got a nice manual aperture on this Viltrox speed booster here. All right, so there I am. Here I am at the same distance. The framing might just be slightly different because I had to take the camera down and put it back up. It's sitting on my bike seat right now, not a tripod, so maybe an inch or two of difference. But this is at 11 millimeters. You get all 6 foot of my arm span in here, no problem at all. And I am 2 feet from the camera, maybe? Let's see. So yeah, my fingers will be touching the lens if I pushed them all the way forward just like that. So yeah, I'm 2 feet away from the camera right now, and I've got a 6 foot span. It's fantastic. I love it for large ocean views and stuff. I'll throw a few pictures up here of Miyajima that I took when we were up there for New Year's. And man, it's so nice for those wide open expanses, and you can get really fun with it if you know, get right on the ground, get a little bit of you know, foreground in there, and really play with the width of this lens. With anything this wide, it's going to look a little unreal, just because you're used to seeing a more compressed 16:9, and this really kind of widens that out and puts it on the same format. So it might be a little bit strange to see some pictures from this. Foreground is always very important if you're going ultra wide, and I like to incorporate it as much as I possibly can. So before this stupid camera dies, because I came up here with only one battery, I'm going to take a few pictures, get a little video, and I'm going to show you guys what this rig actually looks like right now. This takes a very light camera, and I've got a battery grip on it and this lens, and it makes it pretty heavy. But like I said, I'm loving every minute of it still. It's fantastic. It works great. It looks really sexy. Not gonna lie to you. So yeah, we're gonna do that. But so let me show you this real quick. A massive zoom range, all the way up to 16 millimeter. But I am gonna need to adjust my focus there a little bit, a little bit. I should be mostly in focus there. So like I said, the 16 millimeter, it looks almost exactly like the 12 millimeter on the Leica. All that said, blah, 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 let's go take a few pictures. So here we are sitting out at 11 millimeter. Here's my bike. My bike looks really far away. It probably about 10 meters away. The trouble here is that right now I've got the aperture all the way open at 2.8, and we're getting a little bit of an issue focusing on anything except for just kind of all the background. It's a little all mushed together. And the infinity focus with this speed booster is not perfect. It kinda does, kinda doesn't. Especially when the aperture is this wide open, it mostly just doesn't. If we're going something really close up, like this leaf here, And then we get really, okay, so I'm almost touching it. And right about there is where I can bring it into focus. It's about, I don't know, 6 inches away. Something like that. And the focus on that is decent. Easy enough to find that. So here is where the foreground comes in with a wide angle lens like this. Take some pictures of this. Hey guys, Editor Eric here. For whatever reason, I never mentioned bokeh once in this entire video, and it's actually very much worth mentioning. You can see it in a few of the videos. You can definitely see the difference once I switched from the Leica to the Tokina. You can see the difference in depth of field. It's actually quite nice, especially with the manual focus. The Leica is an excellent lens, but it is still on the Panasonic G9, which has a major autofocus issue. So the depth of field isn't always great because sometimes it's focusing behind me, sometimes it's focusing on me. So definitely when I switched over to the manual lens, it made a huge difference. You can also see it in these pictures here, that the bokeh is really nice, especially if you're focusing on something extremely close to you. You know, the wider open, obviously, that you have that aperture, the shallower depth of field you're going to get. Everything is super clean in the background, and you can thank the 9-bladed aperture for that. Those 9 blades, they just make everything really nice and smooth, nice and round, and even if you're doing lights or something like that in the background, they look very nice, very smooth, and you know, nothing looks super out of place. So I just wanted to jump in here and mention that the bokeh on this lens is fantastic, especially on the speed booster, as does tend to be the case. But even on the D5600, on its native APS-C sensor, it is a fantastic lens with great bokeh. So that's kind of neat. Now let's crank it up 4 stops, and you can see everything's already coming into more focus. Oops, that's my zoom. And it's a lot easier to find infinity focus once we're 4 stops up. If we close it all the way down to f/22, just about everything is in focus no matter where I actually try to focus. It might be pulling a little bit closer to me when I go all the way down, but generally at f/22 everything is in focus here. And our massive zoom range of 7mm, there we are at 16 mil. There we are, stopped halfway down. You can see the focus range there. And there we are, blasting this thing with light, 16 mil, and we can find infinity focus about there. So one thing this lens is not is weather sealed. So I am out here in a bit of a sprinkle. I'm not super worried about it just because, I mean, the canopy is keeping most of it off of me, plus the lens hood that's on here is preventing anything from actually like landing on the glass and stuff like that. Obviously you wouldn't want to keep it out here in a downpour, but the 9 or 10 raindrops that I have on here seem to be doing okay. This is kind of a freaking cool place. Being as I'm in Japan, I don't know if anybody lives there. I'm not going to go any closer because if somebody does live there, that's obviously kind of rude. But I'm not afraid of a guy named Earl coming out and shooting me in the face. That's neat. Oh, no rain.
Alright, just because I did mention it, I do want to show you guys what this looks like in the car. Unfortunately, I don't have my whole suction cup and everything set up right now, so this is just kind of sitting on the dash, so pardon the wonkiness. So at 11 mil, if I take the mic off of this thing, I've got a lot more space. And then this is what's going to allow you to actually see 2 people very easily. And this is just on the dash right above my GPS, so it's pretty nice. If it's properly affixed and everything, typically I'll hang it from the windshield from a suction cup, and then just rotate the video 180 degrees when I edit it. But yeah, this works really well at 11 mil, very nice, and at 16, it's really decent for just single person focus.
So that is going to do it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you. We sailed past that 100 mark a few weeks back, and we were approaching 150. Let's just keep on getting it up. If you know anybody who likes electronics, tips and tricks, cameras, you know, well, like I always say, if you plug it in and turn it on, it's going to end up here sometime. I've got my Japan computer build coming up pretty soon here. It's incredibly hard to source parts out here in Japan. So, you know, definitely take a look at that. I can show you the entire process. It was kind of a monster, and I ended up getting a lot of stuff from the US anyway. But I can definitely give you a few tips and tricks on where to go if you are in Japan that will definitely help you out with building a rig. As always, Bell's going to let you know every 2 weeks when I put a new video up. I know it's been a little sporadic lately. That's just because I was moving over here to Japan and then recently just moved into a new house. So now that we're in the house, I'm getting my office set up. It's all going to be great. So you guys definitely keep stopping by, and I look forward to showing you new stuff in the future. Have a good one. Peace.